What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to episode 118 of the Lombard Trucking Show. Thank you once again for being here. And as always, before we get going, you can always listen to my show every Tuesday night on Reach Across America Radio on their iHeartRadio network. That's at 9 p.m. Eastern. Before we get going, also have a very fantastic announcement to make regarding a new sponsor that has jumped on board the Lombard Trucking Show, as well as the entire Lombard Fit Motor Freight brand. And so I want to give a quick shout out and plug to these guys because we're going to be working together with a lot of the stuff we have going on. So this episode 118 is happily brought to you by the fine people at Super Coffee. So if you don't know, Super Coffee is specifically right here a no sugar added energy drink. This bottle right here, 80 calories, literally only 1 gram of sugar, 10 grams of protein, 150 milligrams of caffeine. These guys are the better option for you out there over the road. And that's what we're going to be doing, working with them, is getting their products in front of more people in this industry as being the better option. We all know that when it comes to weight loss or management, it is calories in versus calories out. This is a product that helps reduce your caloric intake, which will help you with your weight loss management, which will then trickle down to a lot of things going on. You can get yourself some Super Coffee right now on Amazon and get 20% off all Super Coffee products using the promo code Lombard20 or Lombard20. They're a great company, Austin, Texas based, phenomenal people who truly want to make a stake in changing the culture around health and wellness in the transportation industry. So feel free to come on. There's going to be a lot of people we're going to be talking to about this. But without any further delay, I really want to get into this episode. Frequent flyer here on the Lombard Trucking Show. I'm very happy to bring him back. He's recently just given birth to his second child. So here he is, adding to the freight world, giving birth to new future freight meme makers. But he's also recently found himself into a new position. He is the founder of Lost Freight, a software that aims to help build and develop relationships between brokers and carriers and help solve the communication problems. But he's also found himself at the helm of an executive position at another company, which is a friend of the show, Truck Parking Club. So I want to, without any delay, let's bring him right up on the stage, Mr. Reed Loustalot, the police advisory head himself, the chief marketing officer of Truck Parking Club. What's going on, dude?
Yo, what up? Dude, I just want to clarify what you just said. I did not give birth to my daughter. My wife did. I was in the room though.
You were a participant in it. Yes, you didn't.
I was if you will, I was a third party observer, if you will. I was in the room though. I cut the cord. I did cut the cord, so I guess I did have a role in the whole delivery operation. So yeah.
Yeah, when you think about the supply chain of childbirth, you were a link in the chain.
I guess so. I guess I was an input material, if you will. But we don't have to. I guess we don't have to go into that too much. We'll leave that for another show. But it's good to be back, bro. Dude, it's been a while. I think I was on episode 69 with Justin and Gord and Dom. I think, right?
Yeah, and episode 100.
I was on episode 100. Dude, I don't even it feels like it's been a million years, but it probably hasn't even been that long. I don't even know what's going on anymore these days.
Yeah, no, time is definitely, I'm not going to lie, time is definitely, I don't know, this year, very similar to last year in a lot of ways, because of, and I've been reading this a lot. There's this book, The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter. When it comes to the synopsis of time, people think as they get older, time keeps moving by faster. And the reason why that is because people do new things less. They're doing new things less. And it also has to do with like going out and doing hard stuff, that whole reference. And there's always like the more and more you try new things and get uncomfortable, essentially the slower time has gone. Like 75 hard for me did not fly by. I'm not going to lie. It feels like January was a long time ago. For me, I know I had a few 2-week gaps, but now with really trying to fundraise for Reach Across America, and with everything going on with Super Coffee and what we're doing in fitness, we got to keep talking. We got to keep getting louder. But man, am I pumped to have you back on here. You're sporting the new polo. Let's bring the people up to speed.
Yeah, no, it's actually a fluke that I wore this today. Hunter Hunter, who everyone may or may not know, he's kind of the face of Truck Parking Club across our socials. Um, he, if you ask him for merch, like if you ask him for company apparel, he'll send you like 1,000 things. And so I have like 7 of these shirts now. So I got one for every day pretty much. So I'm probably gonna be wearing these more. Fits me pretty well. So happy to be rocking the company swag. Um, but yeah, dude, no, a lot has transpired in the last couple months. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, let's start like right at it. You've been rocking Lost Freight. We've been growing the hell out of this Discord.
Hmm.
There's been a lot of discourse on Twitter. Twitter continues to keep, the conversation on there keeps continuing to grow and grow, and then
Hmm.
just boom, like all of a sudden you dropped it on Twitter that like, oh, yo, I'm working for Truck Parking Club now. What transpired for that? How'd you end up like? Did you reach out to Evan? Evan reach out to you? Kind of give us the inside baseball.
Yeah, sure. So Evan and I met last summer at the Future of Supply Chain show in Cleveland, so the Freightwave show in Cleveland, and we became fast friends after that. We were both kind of he was, we're different people, but we're both kind of like doing our own thing. And so I think we connected a little bit on that, but I just could tell that he was kind of got it, and he was a hustler, if you will, but not in like a superficial way, but in I could just tell that he was going to do stuff like somebody I wouldn't want to bet against. Anyway, he he actually like tried to hire me right after that, and I didn't even take him seriously. I was like, dude, why? Like, what are you talking about? Why would I come work for you? Essentially, what I said. Um, but not in like a mean way, but in just like it wasn't even like going and doing anything else wasn't really on my radar. Um, but we just remained friends and talked, every once in a while, and we would see each other at shows. And fast forward to like I guess it would have been September of last year, 2023. Um, I helped. Long story short, I started helping them kind of craft their social strategy and just more of a consulting role. Um, because and that was kind of the foundations of this other company that I helped start called Stealth Mode Media, which has kind of come out of stealth mode, if you will, with Justin announcing himself as the chief meme officer. I think he's what he called himself, which is funny, but that's a whole nother thing. So anyway, I started working with Truck Parking Club. They were a customer. I basically was like, I don't want to come work for you, but I will like help, and I'll do it in like a third party consulting role. I'll start the stealth mode media thing. I'll start working. Kind of, they were my customer. Truck Parking Club was my customer, and we basically did that for 6 months. I guess it would have been me running socials, helping them with stuff, just kind of like an ear, if you will, in certain situations. Um, to hang out with him a bit at Matt's this year, this past in April, I guess, March or April, whatever it was. And obviously met the whole team or a lot of the team there, just kind of hung out, good vibes. And then at TIA, which would have been in April, Evan and I were just talking, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to do this? You want to be our CMO and kind of take this to another level?" And I had been kind of thinking, kicking around the idea in my head. I had had other people kind of soft pitch me on coming to work with them on other stuff, and I've never seriously considered it. But through getting kind of a peek behind the curtain over the last 6 months in this kind of consulting role, I just was exposed to what a great team Truck Parking Club has, kind of the perfect team to kind of build the product we're building, attack the problem we're attacking. And so I was really bullish on them in that sense. But just generally, I kind of got a peek behind the curtain to see, the growth and how quickly they were really attacking the market. And yeah, and I knew, and also like without throwing really shade at other people, because that's not my intention. I really never considered working with anybody else because I didn't want to go build or be part of the 100th TMS or the 50th load board or the 69th visibility tool, if you will. And so and I apologize if I'm whispering. I'm trying not to talk too loud. I'm in a WeWork. So hopefully you can hear me okay. But anyway, I didn't want to go do that. And I didn't want to be part of something that took me 1,000 sentences to explain to people what I was doing. And this, to me, it's an acute problem that most, if not everybody in the industry agrees on. There needs to be more parking. It's a tried and true solution. It's a marketplace which has been applied in other domains with great success: Airbnb, Uber, delivery apps, etc. And it's just simple. It's simple. It's like, well, how do you solve truck parking? Well, you can build more, or you can find more that already exists that isn't really readily accessible, and that's basically what we're doing. Obviously, it's the belief of the company that the solution to the problem is multifaceted. Like, we don't think we're the only piece of the solution. So obviously, we're pro government investment, we're pro private investment in new construction, but we're really kind of looking to attack it from this kind of like marketplace standpoint. So finding and bringing online new solutions, or excuse me, new parking capacity. So excuse me. So yeah, I guess TIA in April, Evan asked, and I said yes very quickly, because I was kind of like, why? It's a simple solution to a problem everyone agrees upon. It's not simple to do. I don't mean to say that it's a simple task. I just mean it's
one problem. It's
yeah,
not
it's
it's not a multi-faceted. It's like it is one large problem. That's
yeah,
just like
and
you can
it's
settle the problem.
it's a gigantic kind of market. It impacts everybody. And it's just like and it's also just like interesting from just like a business standpoint for me. Like, we don't like marketplaces are very interesting businesses, because you've got two sides of, in the case of Truck Parking Club, or in the case of Airbnb, or any other kind of marketplace that mimics that. It's a two-sided marketplace. So you've got supply and you've got demand, and balancing the two, and figuring out how to grow one. You really can't pick apart, or you can try, but it's hard. It's just a difficult growth equation, and it's interesting to me from like a business standpoint to really be part of and steering, kind of cracking that code for us. So it's an interesting challenge. It's a great group of people. It's a big market, big solution, and yeah, I'm excited. So I said yes, and I've been doing it ever since. I still run the Discord. Lost Freight still exists. We still have customers. We're still growing. And I'm still selling hats. All right, well, I haven't sold hats in a while, because I've been my guy's been kind of I don't know how to, I don't want to throw shade at him either, but I've been making shirts, and I've sold a bunch of shirts. So yeah, man, I'm still doing a bunch of stuff, and I'm still drinking WeWork cold brew, and I'm still got these going on. So not much else has changed.
My Zin kind of matches my green screens t-shirt. By the way, no BS, just GS. Shout out to those boys. Well, dude, I love how you did wind up at Truck Parking Club, and like this sound. And for anybody tuning in who doesn't know what Truck Parking Club is, Reed kind of hinted to it. They are more so finding truck parking rather than building it. They're essentially reaching out. They find customers who have underused or underutilized assets, being land, who will want to host that land onto a platform that then they then motor carriers and drivers are able to book, similar to how you'd book an Uber or book an Airbnb, so to speak. So just to give that quick synopsis up there, and it is crazy. I kind of like it. It makes sense, you winding up. And for anybody who has listened since Evan joined the show, or if you know Evan personally, we're all kind of in this network of a Venn diagram, and you winding up at Truck Parking Club. Like, as soon as I heard about it, I was like, this makes perfect sense. This is a perfect match. Reed's a natural point. Like, he wants to solve problems in the industry. He literally saw one being communication. You developed your own thing to try to bridge that gap. And now the same thing. There's another problem out there, that is kind of a unifier. It's big, it's not easy. There's multiple ways that it needs to be. There's multiple approaches to it. What, like you said, like how, like, government investment, infrastructure, private investment. Like there's multiple different ways. Like there's no one weird trick that's going to solve truck parking, so to speak.
Yep.
But you being involved with truck parking club it makes perfect sense. It's just like when it comes to jobs, it's not what it's sometimes who and like through building this network. I mean, it's like Evan could probably go out, knowing his prowess and his personality, he can go out and probably seek some real hungry guy who's built up a company and he was their marketing guy, and he can probably go find somebody out there who's like one of those.
To be clear, he could easily find somebody more qualified in that sense than me, for sure, 100%. And he knows this. I said this to him. I'm like, bro, I don't know half the stuff that's going to fall under my purview. But the point is, when you're doing startups, it's like, in my limited experience, and take everything I say with a grain of salt, I always say this, but in my limited experience, experience is not, experience can be a hindrance in some situations. Because if you have an idea of how things are, quote unquote, or how things are done, quote unquote, you might not do something that you like. Startups, you're really discovering new things all the time, and you need to be open to having no idea what you're doing, and you need to be able to thrive in that sort of like uncertain environment where there are no rules. And so I think in that sense, its experience is a bit overrated, because you'd rather find people who can learn really fast, can quickly kind of, like, they're not aware of rules in some situations, right? Because rules are rules. Who cares?
I think
you know?
that same logic actually applies in boot camp when I was in the Marines. Like drill instructors will often say that all the experienced shooters, all the guys who grew up hunting, like all the people who've been around guns their whole life, a lot of them are the ones that need to they end up not qualifying right away. But the guys from the city and the people who've never fired a weapon, their minds are easy to, hey, this is our method, this is how it works. And it's just, so when you come from outside, they end up being sometimes the better shooters. So I mean, that correlates. But so you're in this role. We see what's going on. What as chief marketing officer. I put meme officer in the title as a joke. I mean, this is your own. I get that from your own LinkedIn post, because that you claim that's how you have risen to the role. But in reality, when it comes to the position of being the chief marketing officer at Truck Parking Club, what does that look like? Who are you marketing to? Are you talking more so to motor carriers? Are you talking more so to customers? Is it equal? Like what's kind of your strategy moving forward? I mean, without giving any like precious information, you don't have to say anything you're not comfortable with, but like what is the strategy? We see truck parking clubs adding new locations very often. What's the game plan moving forward for you guys?
I mean, ultimately, we're looking to dominate the market, and I think we already are. Or if I want to be more humble, I think we're well on our way to dominating the market. And I think ultimately, my job is to make Truck Parking Club a household brand amongst drivers, amongst fleets, amongst um, yeah, I think so. So really, as I hinted to early on, we're a two-sided marketplace. We're marketing to two potentially different cohorts of people: truckers looking for parking, and that's, to be clear, that's daily parking, that's hourly parking, that's weekly parking, that's monthly parking. Everything from I need a place to park tonight to, oh, I need a place to drop my trailer, to I need a place to park when I'm home. And there's a million potential different scenarios where we're kind of able to provide solutions. But suffice to say, there's folks looking for parking, and then there's people with property suitable for parking. And those are potentially two different, very, very different types of people. So it is a unique problem from a marketing standpoint. But if I had to just one word or one sentence say what my role is about, it's just trying to make us a household name in the industry. So really, what that means in practice is understanding the various channels, right? Understanding how folks discover us, which we could sit here forever talking about that. That's everything from social to organic search to billboards to print marketing to organic search is SEO, so I guess that falls into that bucket. Paid advertising, social ads, so organic social, so like all of our social channels. It's referrals, it's affiliates, it's a million different things that are all kind of ways folks discover us. And folks being truckers looking for parking or folks with extra space. I gotta stop saying folks. That's whatever. You get what I'm saying. So really, my job is about understanding kind of what's worked to date to drive growth and pulling levers and allocating scarce resources to effectively grow to grow as effectively as we can and as efficiently as we can. So I have, a little bit of experience on the social side of things, and I think I'm decent at socials. But I don't have any experience really on the SEO side of things. I don't have any experience on the paid ad side of things. So I'm learning that all on the fly. So my day to day is a lot of asking questions to folks we're working with to run those channels. It's trying to educate myself just in general on how these sorts of things work. And then beyond that, like I'm doing a lot of stuff that's way outside what might even be considered marketing. Like I'm working with Chris, our chief sales officer, to really hone and develop sales strategies. I'm working with, I'm programming this like hologram projector that Hunter wants to use at booths, at his booths. I'm just doing a lot of stuff. Like I'm at this stage in a company, really, you can wear a lot of different hats, and I don't know how many hats I'm wearing, but there's a decent amount of them. So
What kind
that
of
answers your question.
a lot of times everything, yeah, absolutely. A lot of times everything, everything is marketing. Kind of like a shout out to friend of the show. Everything is logistics. Everything kind of is marketing. Everything about what Hunter does, everything from the polos, from the light up backpack. I mean, that's marketing. That's what makes you a household name, is that kind of ruthless, cutthroat, always being in your face, always being out there. So to speak, on that, where you're going to wear multiple hats. But I definitely wanted to ask you, I was going to ask you about certain challenge you've overcome, but I'll save that. I did want to talk about billboards for a second, because when it comes to drivers, because this is a conversations I've been having with people, I've been curious, only because when I think about marketing and when people, because I have conversations with people, especially now in fitness all the time, with advertising and marketing and getting stuff in front of truckers. And the thing is, what people don't realize about drivers is the job itself. The drivers are isolated. You are alone a lot you should not be on your phones while you're driving. For the most part, for 8 to 11 hours, drivers are not screen watching. They're not on laptops. So they're not, and yes, they're on TikTok. We know that. I know that they have time. I'm on TikTok. I post videos. Yes, that's true. But at the end of the day, the billboard, I feel as though, remains king. And I'm just curious, are you guys leaning into that at all? Or what's kind of the research you've been seeing behind billboards and maybe their relevance, at least from the carrier? Because that's the thing, is I think to become a household name, it's got like the drivers are going to make it the household name before the other side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, billboards we've not done a ton of it, but we're quickly going to, I guess is a good way to put it. Our hunch is that you're right, that it could be hopefully, it's going to be a good channel for us. I think that's kind of a non-answer just because I don't know. I'm only guessing, but something we're definitely starting to explore.
I mean, I know every billboard attorney. We know all the billboard attorneys all throughout the country. Kenneth Allen, I posted on Twitter yesterday, Jack Daniels, call it for Steve Adler, the Hammer. We know them all. We know, Morgan and Morgan, every regional guy. And it's just like, yeah, I hate them, But guess what? We know.
Hate is a very strong emotion, and it's, hey, I mean, it could very well be a strategy that they're employing, knowing full well people are going to hate them. But I don't know. I mean, it might work for them. So we know that that's, emotions ultimately help embed you in the minds of people, and positive or negative. So that's just a strategy that some people employ. Obviously our goal is not to have a negative association, but at a certain level, that's just how it's going to be sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Gotta agree with him. Dad at Two Roadside says our boy. I mean, hate does buy clicks, and that's the thing. Maybe billboard attorneys were the first in that, because that's the thing on Twitter. That's the thing. You say something, yeah, you say something, engagement farming. You say something polarizing, you're going to get the clout from it. And maybe
Yep.
billboard attorneys were the first to crack that code just via in real life on billboards. Now,
Yeah, I mean, you want people to feel something. You want people to feel something. You know what I mean? Either good or bad. And if you're not doing either of those, you're really not doing anything. Like
yeah,
there's really no in between. Yeah, I mean, you want to be remembered. So
yeah, one way or
it's
the other. That's very well put. Yeah, you want to make people feel something better than nothing.
yeah, yeah, and
Which
hopefully you're able to be positive. And I think we have always, even before I joined, I think always tried to be positive, and have never stoked controversy. Like, that's not our goal. Like, I think I'm a pretty positive person in general, and so we're not playing the game the same way that the Texas Hammer or whatever his name is. So yeah.
No, that's good. But I mean, speaking of feeling a certain way, I like I said, Evan is so Evan has an infectious personality himself. The guy's positivity and his friendliness and openness to everybody is a rare trait. Guy's a stand-up guy. I mean, the
Hmm.
makings of a true, and I mean this in no offense, the makings of like a true politician. Like this guy, like no matter what, like he's a crowd pleaser. Like he can shake hands, he can talk, the endurance behind him, to be able to go to these events and like travel. It's definitely admirable. But recently on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, there's been a little bit of negativity, guff going on in regards. We've reignited this debate behind should truckers be paying for parking. And I have my opinions on this. I've paid for parking before. I don't like it. Sometimes, I mean, the thing is, the situation dictates. The times I did pay for parking were definitely times where I more so chose to, and it was not like a requirement, or
Hmm.
it meant paying for parking also had a trade-off of I got a free shower. There's a place in Georgia I know that had
Hmm.
occurred. So it's not that I have a negative view. I think where it becomes, I think where I really it becomes where I actually get where it feels like usury is especially in the urban areas like New York City or Los Angeles. And I know the answer where it's supply meets demand, and I get that. But it's just this. Yes, there's a supply and a demand factor, but there's also a force to that demand. Like the truckers don't have a choice, especially company drivers don't have choices on making these deliveries within these urban areas. They have jobs. That nobody's going to quit their job over something like that. There is a forced aspect to them having to drive in these areas and find places to park, and I think that it's not right, especially given the regulations behind ELDs, not being able to get outside the city to be able to do it. But regardless, the debate has sparked. But I know Evan's kind of intentions on this and kind of the future. I wanted you to like touch on that when it comes to kind of bridging that gap in communication between this idea of paid parking, to where I'm basically giving you the floor to kind of exonerate Truck Parking Club as being this
Yeah.
business of usury.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think if we're talking about a trucking company opening their yard up to park trucks, if we're talking about a tow truck company listing space, if we're talking about a warehouse listing space, those guys, there has to be a return for them. or else why would they do it, right? Why, if that's what we're talking about, because there is a cost to them in that sense, right? There is risk to them in that sense. So um, the ultimate motivator for those people is money, and that's the ultimate motivator to all of us in a sense, right? That's why we're doing what we're doing, right? That's why it's not. I don't mean to say that's the only reason, but that's a very powerful motivator, and we're ultimately a marketplace and we're a believer in market dynamics, right? In that sense. So we have to provide an incentive for those folks to do so. Um, and it's not even that I we are very sympathetic to the idea that folks don't like to pay for parking. Of course, half our staff at this point, I think it was 44% last time we talked, or last time we kind of put the number out, but we've hired, I mean, half our staff is essentially drivers, either current or former drivers. Tracy, who runs our customer success team, our support team, is a 30-year CDL holder. And she runs that team and she's only hiring from former drivers. So we hear kind of that issue loud and clear, or we feel those emotions kind of loud and clear from our staff. So we're not we're very sympathetic to that, and in the ways that we can, we're always looking to kind of facilitate more parking for. Sorry, hold on. Sorry, I thought my internet went out there for a second. Um, we're always looking to create more parking in that sense. And in a perfect world, would it all be free? Yeah. Why would it not be in a perfect world? But we don't live in a perfect world at all. So there needs to be an incentive for these folks. The 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 um, the controversy, quote unquote, that you're talking about relates to truck stops and the presence of Truck Parking Club at truck stops. That's been specifically the controversy, uh, and we totally understand that too. And our team thought long and hard before we ever implemented any truck stop property numbers. And that was a kind of a very, and that was before my time that the decision was made. But if you talk to Evan, if you talk to Tracy, they racked their brains about it because they knew, especially Tracy knew there would be pushback, and they knew that there would be an issue. We ultimately decided that truck stops are, like, we didn't invent paid parking at truck stops, and many of them were moving that way and exploring options, whether we do it or not. But ultimately, we decided that Truck Parking Club is best equipped to, like, all things being equal, it should be us implementing it because we provide the excellent customer service to drivers. We are driver focused. We are our staff solving problems for drivers every single day on the customer success line. They've been in situations, right, that drivers find themselves in, and our experience, the app that we built, is tailored kind of with the drivers in mind versus third party payment providers or other applications, or if the truck stops built it themselves, it's just not going to be as good of an experience, kind of full stop. I think that's what we believe. So but right now, truck stops are not our focus at all. Like, they're 7% of our platform right now, just in terms of property membership. And we are always and will continue to figure out ways to make it easy for truck stops to offer paid parking, either through incentives like buying fuel or buying foods. We make it very easy for them to implement ways to provide free parking in exchange for a transaction, because ultimately their businesses too, they have to make money or else they're going to go out of business, and uh, that will be less parking across the board, right? And Chris Thomas, who we talked to a decent amount, a friend of ours, just mutual friend of ours, and just probably everyone who's watching this says it better than most folks. It's like mom and pop truck stops are going out of business. Drivers will naturally seek to park where it's free. And if that means fueling where they have a fuel card with their carrier and then going and parking somewhere else and not going inside buying anything, I mean, that just happens naturally. And for those businesses that are relying on folks to come into the store and buy, if they're not, then what are they going to do? So we totally kind of sympathize with that, with the emotions involved in that. But like ultimately, we think we're able to provide a better experience. We are always looking for ways to incentivize purchases in exchange for free parking, and we're going to continue to provide great customer service, driver-centric customer service. So it is a very, like, the controversy has been very narrowly focused on one thing, which is a very small percentage of our business, which is daily parking at truck stops. That's a very, very small subset of the business. Like, it's tended to ignore completely kind of the greater context of the business. And this is also something that we're going to be, we've kind of stayed out of the conversation when it's gotten overwhelmingly negative. Like, we're not in this to kind of throw bombs or talk down or clap back at the people who are in some situations spreading kind of lies or saying things that are incorrect. We haven't even corrected incorrect statements on the parts of these people, and that's because we understand the emotions behind this. You know what I mean? And so we're going to respond in the way that we think is appropriate, and we're always going to respond with respect and in understanding. And yeah, so I think I'm all for conversation, and we totally believe in everyone's right to their own opinion, even if we disagree. And we will respond in time, and we'll respond with words in time in our own kind of positions on this issue and on any other issue that pops up. But ultimately, kind of the only thing that matters is actions. And is it perfect now? Will it ever be perfect? No, of course it won't ever be perfect, but we're going to continue to strive to make it better. And that's really all we can do. So folks are welcome to use us. They're welcome to not use us. And long term, we want the results to kind of speak for themselves, as opposed to just kind of saying whatever. So we're more focused on results than we are with words in that sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. Just want to give a quick shout out. What's up, Robert Peterson? How you doing? Thanks for joining in. Thanks for tuning in. Also,
Robert.
Absolutely, I'll pop that back up there. We can get a go Vols from my man Aaron out there. Shout out to the Tennessee Volunteers. Kind of moving off that when it comes to, because I agree, when it comes to paid truck parking at truck stops, I'm not gonna lie, when you said that, my heart kind of sank a little bit, because I have gotten fuel where I had a fuel card and then parked at the local place. I mean, however,
why would you not? Why would you not? Right? It makes when you are narrowly in that situation, like, you doing that one time is not going to put a place out of business, right? One time. But if everyone does it, then it will. So, I mean, we live in an imperfect world, and we're just trying to do the best with what we can do, like the best given the situation we're in. So, sorry to cut you off.
No, that's perfectly fine. It's where I get mad about paid truck parking at truck stops is, like, well, Love's doesn't do it, which is honestly part of Love's, like, criteria. But, like, yeah, when it's TA Flying J, it's just, it's, to me, it's usury, especially when Flying J they promote their paid parking, they promote reserving a spot in their app like they're doing me a favor, even though, like, they still charge whatever they charge for showers. Their food is still expensive. They have airport prices. And they're getting the business no matter what. Unlike the mom and pop, the local truck stop, who is not getting that business, who is not getting that business wholesale like the large chains are. And I got to say, there's a conversation, there's synergy to be had. I got to give a quick shout out to the people over at Ambest. Especially their CEO over there. They're in the fight to help these small businesses, like these truck stops who have been going out of business. And I think that there's definitely synergy between Truck Parking Club and what companies like Ambest are doing it in favor when it comes to truck parking in general. We're talking about being part of the solution. I think Ambest is a huge part of finding that truck parking that may end up disappearing out there. Let's see. We got one question here. I want to give them one. Somebody says, "What's the going rate on truck parking for a one night?" Yeah, you guys have an average for a one night stay?
I don't know what the average is. I mean, and obviously it'll completely depend on a bunch of stuff. I mean, you'll see everything from 10 to 25 in more kind of high demand markets. Again, like we don't Truck Parking Club is purely a marketplace. We don't set the prices. We don't we don't set the prices. The folks who sign their properties up, who list space, are in full control of that. And we if something's too high, like if something's too high, and they'll find out soon enough it's too high because nobody will do it. Nobody will book, and there will be that kind of natural equilibrium. And we'll tell people if we think it's too high, but ultimately it's their decision. So prices are all kind of all over the place depending on the locale, depending on the amenities. They're also property members are also that's just to be clear, that's what we call kind of the locations. We call them property members. They are what was I going to say? Yeah, they're in full control of the pricing. They're also in full control over, if they want to offer hourly, if they want to offer daily, if they want to offer weekly, if they want to offer monthly parking. So, yeah. So I guess, Will, I would love to be able to give you one answer, but it just depends.
Now, when it comes to I guess the future of Truck Parking Club and solving this problem, is there a pathway moving forward to where essentially the parking could become either subsidized to the point to where there are free spaces offered on the Truck Parking Club network? Is there kind of like a pathway to that? Is that on your radar? Is that kind of maybe part of the strategy going on? You don't have to give away any secret information if you don't want to,
Well,
or any.
I guess I'll say this, like one common and I think valid critique is that we're not able to accept, insert truck stops. If we're talking specifically about truck stops, we're not able currently to accept, pilot points or whatever there called, or flying or Loves points, or what, all these chains have their own loyalty programs, and we're not currently able to accept those, and drivers are upset that they're not able to pay for parking with points that they've kind of spent their money to earn. And that makes total sense. In a perfect world, we'd snap our fingers and tomorrow we'd be able to accept them all. But anyone who's worked in any sort of tech role will know that it's not always as easy as wanting to do it. Obviously we want to do it, and we are having conversations with folks to get those sorts of things done. But it just takes time, and there's just a lot that goes into it. And I know that's kind of a non-answer, but it's just the truth. It's just the truth. And we would do it instantly if we could, but that's just not how it works. So we're working on it.
I think
so. Huh?
No, I was just saying, I think what's crazy is in that thought process, people think how come you can't just do this right away? We're almost in somewhat of a technology trap and mindsets where, because things do get done fast, things do happen fast, and there's so many things that can get done with technology. People think that building that network, being able to just do that, should be just a quick software thing that a tech person can do, and really that there's a lot of legalities and this and terms and all that. There's a lot of actual techie stuff you kind of have to navigate before you can just do it.
Dude, it's complicated. I guess is a very simple way to put it, but it's just know that we're working on it, know that we want to do it, and it's just gonna take time, and we're always kind of marching towards that. We want to be better than we were yesterday, and we want to offer better solutions than we did yesterday. We want to offer more options. We want to offer more ways for it to be free. We want to offer we want to do all these things, but it just takes time, and that's not the best. It's not always great, but we're trying. So that's I guess I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and I got one for you. We got a little bit of time left. Omega, so you mentioned wanting to be a household name, which to be perfectly honest, the marketing, the storm that Truck Parking Club has taken. Number one, there was a question earlier we do need to answer for our good friend over here, Trucker Video. He's wondering if you guys are going to be at the Texas Trucking Show this weekend out in Houston. So you
Yeah,
guys,
yeah. I think our booth number is 1045, I believe. Um, it's not in front of me, so I can't remember. But yeah, we will be there. I personally won't be there, but Evan will be there. Hunter will be there. A couple other folks from the team will be there. We'll have our our booth set up. So yeah, we will be there. I
I
just had
may
I just had a kid though, so I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, I may try to see what I can do about getting out there Sunday. It's up in the air. If I can squeeze it, if I can fit it,
Hmm.
I might try to pop over there just to say what's up and film some content, some videos. But like when it comes to the marketing side of things, like Evan did it right. Like he has taken by storm, all these events, being at all driver focused events, every show, being at
Dude,
Max.
it
That's
is it
true.
is that even that's an understatement. Like I don't think people realize like how like we these guys go to so many shows. Like they're in the van like nonstop driving. Just dude, it's just like such a. It's hard to put into perspective like what that takes to be kind of at all these places, right? Obviously, drivers know that it means driving to them, so it's a lot of driving. And but we're making the effort to be in front of people face to face, answering questions, dealing with um, answering face to face all the questions that um, kind of we touched on with the truck stop stuff with paying for parking. Like we're not hiding from that in that sense. Like we're face to face with people every day answering those questions, and that's really I think long term our bet is that doing that will ultimately give us the ability to tell our story kind of one on one, but it'll also provide us the opportunity to turn it into content and kind of tell it at scale. So um, yeah.
No, and with that, with you guys being out there doing that, having these conversations, this is what sets it up because you guys want to be that household name. You're out there facing these conversations. And as a marketing guy, you would know this better because I haven't heard of any, or at least I don't know of anybody. But is there any new competition that's sprung up against Truck Parking Club? Is there anybody else doing the same thing? Are you gatekeeping
Mhm.
people out of it, or are there anybody
No.
else who's trying to rise up and do this? Because I feel like the concept is trying to come anywhere with a lot of different stuff. We see it with Airbnb, with Uber. We're seeing it with
Hmm.
delivery apps, et cetera. Like we're trying to see, like at least if you kind of, follow whomever on social media, you see that this is a thing. There's a gentleman who recently shared one of my videos about truck parking in Florida. He shared it, now that it's almost 2 years later, he shared a video and he's out there, and I commend him for sharing my video, but he's promoting about how he's talking about helping people kind of invest in land that then they
Hmm.
can lease out to drivers, which he's entrepreneurial. I get it, but wouldn't consider him a truck parking club competitor. But is anybody else building
Yeah. Yeah.
software, bridging
Yeah.
technology?
For sure. I mean, we are not the first people to try doing what we're doing. We didn't invent this idea even in truck parking. So yeah, there have been other marketplaces. There are other marketplaces. There are folks who are taking different approaches and are buying or kind of managing real estate. So yeah, we definitely have competitors. Yeah, I think that's a simple answer to your question. And will there be more who try to enter the market to compete with us? For sure. And we our members, our property members, do not um, like they're not like there is no exclusivity. We don't control them in that sense, right? We ultimately believe that high quality experience and high quality customer service will ultimately be what kind of propels us to domination. But yeah, I mean, there are competitors, And there will only continue to probably be more as we prove out kind of the market, or as we kind of lead the charge in that sense. So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's and we welcome that. We welcome that because we think we're going to win. So
Get
yeah,
me fired up. So you didn't make them. You didn't make your customers, the property owners. You didn't make them sign non-competes.
no, 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 folks. People can a lot of our like we have truck parking operators. Joe Schmo who owns a lot, who's got a sign on the side of the highway that says truck parking, call this number. Like he's been offering parking before, and we're a distribution channel for him. We're a payment process for him. Um, like those sorts of people exist, and they will continue to exist. And they're welcome to try to do it all on their own without us, and they're welcome to use us too. So it's just it's there is no forcing of anything in this situation. Nobody is forced. Nobody's forced to be here, in that sense.
No, very true. But yeah, we got a couple minutes to kill. I'd have to say, what do you think's the biggest challenge you've taken on? Like anything you've kind of overcame since taking on the role, or is there a new challenge you've got coming up that you're kind of strategizing? But more so, yeah. What do you think's your biggest challenge that you kind of ran over, or
I would
the biggest success story?
Dude, I'm not a very organized person, historically, and so I'm kind of fighting my own natural inclination to just kind of fly by the seat of my pants in this role, um, and it's just not going to work if I don't get better at staying organized. So if we're talking about just me personally, that's something that I've been cognizant of from day one and have been actively kind of fighting against my just how I am. Not fighting against, it's not the right way to put it, but like I've been trying to get better at that. Um, there's a whole bunch of stuff like and I didn't say this when I was talking about this, but another reason why I did ultimately decide to take the role was I knew that I was going to have to learn a ton of stuff that I knew nothing about, and there's nothing quite like being forced to get you to learn, right? And we humans are naturally, I think, kind of comfort seekers, and it's very easy to be, um, it's very easy to just be comfortable and not push yourself. And I've always found that I, it sounds great to not have to and just say like, oh, I'm gonna go learn like in my spare time. It's like that's not really worked for me. Like I've always had to kind of force myself into situations where my back's against the wall to learn. And that's what I did when I got laid off from my last job 2.5 years ago. I was forced to figure it out, and I did. And it got to the point where I was like, well, I could be comfortable. I could stay in this consulting role. I could keep doing all the other things I'm doing, and um, that would have worked. But ultimately, I was like, I got to force myself to do something here. And so really, I'm just kind of like trying. I force myself in a new position where I have no choice. If I want to deliver, I have to learn how to do all these things. So yeah,
That couldn't have been that's actually probably a perfect place to leave it right there. Couldn't agree more. I mean, that's just in life, like growth development wise. I'll make sure that next time we record a show, I send you a calendar invite, so that way you stay organized. But I got like touching on that. That's one of the reasons why decided to do 75 hard. Which my next episode I'll do a live Q&A and got to talk on that. But essentially, like I do like to read. I like to learn about stuff. I read one book last year, Napoleon biography, which by the way, you should go read it. Granted, it's 850 plus pages, but like I wanted to read more. So I did 75 hard, which forced me, or else I would failed to read. And I ended up reading 5 books that now have correlated and, added so much more to my philosophy and my tools, and just probably all around are going to make me a better communicator, better coach, better with everything I've got going on. So that's a great place to really leave it. Really appreciate you coming back on. I mean, it's definitely not going to be your last time on, but before we go, give a little quick plug. Where can the people find you? how can they support Truck Parking Club and all that noise.
Yeah,
And I'll
man.
bump you out and then hang out a minute.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm on Twitter. I think my handle's Lost is Reed on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. You can follow me there. Truckparkingclub.com. If you need to find a place to park, if you need a place to drop a trailer, if you need a place to, insert a bunch of other different things that you can do with space, you can just go to truckparkingclub.com. You should join my Discord too if you wanna hang out and vibe. I do tech events on Tuesday nights, Tech Bro Tuesday, so I still do that. But yeah, I'm everywhere, man. I don't know. I'm still doing my thing. So yeah,
No,
it's good
awesome.
to be here too, dude. I will say it's been a year. It's basically been a year and a half since the first time I came on. I guess that would have been in December of 2022, which is
Yeah.
crazy. I always knew you were gonna crush it, and you're crushing it now, and I wouldn't bet against that changing anytime soon. So, props to you, bro, for figuring it out and doing it on the fly. And I'm always going to be a big supporter of yours, and I hope that we can only expand the ways that we can help each other as time goes on. So I'm props to you for just crushing it, bro. So yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. If it's one thing I plan on doing, it's be persistent. I'm going to keep heading up this mountain, and no matter what, as I go up the mountain, I want to take as many people, especially everybody who tuned in live. We're going to go on up this together. We're gonna solve these problems. We might not solve the problems, but we're at least going to make them better, especially in regards to everything from on down, from health, from fitness, from parking, from pay, from this, from etc. We're going to keep talking and keep figuring them out. But dude, appreciate the kind words. You're going to keep crushing it. Let's start, this is hopefully a part of that, making that Truck Parking Club a household name. I'm going to bump you out, hang out real quick, and then I'm going to walk this one out. Number one, want to thank you all for tuning in once again to episode 118. Before I sign off, do want to let you know that we are raising money for Wreaths Across America as I train for triathlon and other endurance events going on October 6th. I have a 70.3 triathlon in Waco, Texas. Feel free to come on out and cheer, but you can go to, and then we have the Woodlands full Ironman in April of 2025. And if you'd like to donate to Wreaths Across America, you can go to wreathsacrossamerica.org/Lombard. One wreath costs you $17, and we'll be in Arlington this December to be placing those wreaths. So the more the better, because every single veteran deserves to have their name live on in honor for what they've done in their service and sacrifice to the United States. And also at the same time, we need to honor those motor carriers who are hauling those wreaths, and we need to be raising awareness about the lifestyles that they live and how we need to pitch in and how we need to make the community and make the industry better to serve them, so that way they can continue to serve better, happier, healthier, and keep trucking until they can make it to their end of the road, their timeline. So that's what we're doing. That's the mission. You know what it is. You know where to find me. I'm everywhere at Lombard Trucking. And if you do need help, if you are looking for somebody who's looking to make a lifestyle change in regards to your health and fitness, please do not hesitate to reach out. Always here for you. Drivers out there, I'm looking to talk to you as well. Please come on the show. We want to hear your story. Big part of getting this mission out there and helping solve these problems is your voice, which is probably the most important voice in the industry. You are the largest stakeholder of this industry at the end of the day. So know that. Reach out, and anybody else out there within the industry want to come on, let's do it. Let's talk. Let's tell your story, and let's talk. Let's just do it. Let's just talk. But with that, guys, hey, we're headed back to the bench. Boom, boom. There it is, dude. Phenomenal. Good shit.
Good. Let's yeah, dude. Thanks for having me, dude. Let's keep this fucking show going so we can all crush it.
Yeah, dude. If I ever get canned, if I ever find myself up Schitt's Creek, I'd fucking Truck Parking Club would be the first
Hey, by the way, I think we're still live right now.
No, are we?
Yeah.
Insane.
I got